welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. I'm joined by Juicy today. We're going to be doing a 2023 Louisiana Ragin Cajun football preview show here today. And without further ado, let me introduce everybody to my co-host, Juicy. How you doing today, Juicy?
I'm good, man. How's everything?
Doing pretty good here. So, Juicy, the Cajuns finished last season 6-7. They've had two players enter the transfer portal and leave the Cajuns. One was Cam Podesco, and he went to Tulane. And Trey Amos, he left as well and went to the University of Alabama. So, there was some question marks that popped up about the secondary here. They lost Zion Hill-Green on the defensive line. Andre Jones got drafted. He was out of eligibility anyway, linebacker. Ben Woodruff has been named the starter. There's a lot going on with this team. Look like a young group of wide receivers as well. They got Peter LeBlanc, and he's the most experienced guy on that side of the ball here. So, looking at this team as a whole here, what are some things the Cajuns could do this year that will help out better in their scheme this year? What you got, Juicy?
I just think the Cajuns passed the better. Last year it was like two quarters for a while, and I think they just need consistency on offense, consistency at throwing, consistency with one quarterback. More balance. We see a lot of run heavy. It's like they don't have a lot of confidence in their quarterbacks or something. They need to get some confidence. I think that's one big area. Let the receivers get the ball, make plays with their feet. Spread a defense out. That's what they can improve at is passing. I know they got a pretty solid line, especially like last year. They did a pretty good job running the ball, so I don't think that's too big of an issue on that end.
Okay, so basically what is going on here with the Cajuns here is last year I saw the offensive line was struggling a good bit last year. And, they couldn't get off the ball and block here. I think Daryl Washington for the Cajuns here, even though the Cajuns do lose Chris Smith here. He went to the XFL. And they do lose him. But I think that the Cajuns here, they're going to have a very, better year up front offensive line here. The schedule definitely plays a role in the Cajuns this year. It seems like they're planning out a little bit better here. Daryl Washington's going to probably lead the way for them there. And, you got Peter LeBlanc outside here. Ben Woodruff has been named the starting quarterback for the Cajuns here. So, he's going to do some things here. I think there's going to be more of a vertical down the field passing effort from Ben this year. Ben 10 is what they call him, basically. So, that's one thing. I think he'll push the ball, and which will not allow that defense to creep up too much of the line of scrimmage there, where I think it'll help out the offensive line. And there is going to be more of a collaborative effort for sure here. Now, granted, you got Troy that kind of came from the third place position to win the whole entire conference. The Cajuns were predicted last year to win the Sun Belt, and they finished at a 6-7 record here. The defense of the Cajuns here, I'm concerned about the secondary, but next man up mentality has to come into play here, and you got to get these guys ready to go here whenever you get down to it here. So I will bring this up here. And let me show you this real quick here. Alright, let's look at this. So, what I have here is I like simulators. They're very fun to look at and they give you data here. So, that is what everybody else is thinking here. So, let's see what's going on here. So, granted, let's look at this here. So, I'm going to share my screen with Juicy here so he can see what I'm talking about. So, granted here. So, let's look at this here. So, the predicted record for the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns is this here. They're predicted to finish 8-4, and the predicted strength of schedule is 124. Now, I'm going to come out and say this here. With this schedule here,
That's almost one of the
yeah, Coach, yeah, I think there's 131, is there?
Yeah, 130, 131, but it's still be considered one of the easiest.
Yeah, it's one of the easiest schedules in the country. So if Coach Desimo doesn't win 8 games this season, because this is how this works here. Year one, you get your foundation kind of settling in here. There's always a bigger jump between year one and year two with players. Same thing with teams. They usually get a bigger jump year two than they do in year one because it's the turning point, right? You're supposed to start turning it around here. Year three, you're kind of jumping a little bit more from year two. Then year four, you're supposed to compete for a championship. That's how it normally works under normal situations, depending how bad the rebuild is. And we've seen it under Napier though. Napier finished 7-7. Then in 2019, he jumped to 10-3. You could say that HUD kind of kept the same thing going since he started there. Whenever he was Ragin Cajuns head football coach, 9-4, 9-4, 9-4, did that 4 straight years. But then after the 4th year, they started going backwards. Like just didn't keep the momentum going for the Cajuns there. So let's see here. So they got. I think he should win. If he doesn't win 8 games this year, you might have to think about seriously might be putting him on the hot seat or something because this schedule is really easy and it's not going to get much better than that here. Now, a lot of people won't like that, what I just said, but I think it's the truth and we need to go right on with it here. So anyway, let's go about it here. So Northwestern State opens up. The Cajuns open up the first game of the season against Northwestern State. The predictors got them winning the game 42-13. I agree with that as well. I kind of think of a difference. I think 35-21 probably. What do you think, Juice? You think the Cajuns getting a dub in the first game of the season?
Yeah, I think they should take care of Northwestern State pretty easily.
All right, so the second game of the year is at Old Dominion here. Old Dominion has one of the best linebackers in the country. Y'all have heard of him very much so here. I think he had 170-something tackles last year. Don't quote me on that because I'm just going off what my brain was just telling me there. But Old Dominion, they might make a jump this year, but I don't see them beating the Cajuns here. I think the Cajuns will be a little more ready, a little more depth for them. So I got the Cajuns beating Old Dominion. Our predictor has that as well, 26-21. I got them going 2-0 so far this season. Who you got, Juicy?
I'll take Old Dominion as well. I'm sorry, the Cajuns. I'm sorry.
You're going with the Cajuns, all right. At first, I was wondering if you were okay right there. So Cajuns stay on the road. They go to UAB. The predictor has them losing this game here. Now, Trent Dilfer is now the head coach of UAB. It's his first year taking on the program. UAB had a winning season last year. They were 7-3 last year. The predictor has the Cajuns losing 26-24. I think the opposite is going to happen. I got a close win for the Cajuns on the road in Birmingham. I got them going 3-0 so far this year. Who you got, Juicy?
I think I'm gonna agree with the predictor and have them drop UAB. It's gonna
Okay.
be close. So I think because UAB has one of the better underrated running backs in the G5 with Dwayne McBride. So I mean, I think it'll be close, but I think the Cajuns will drop it on the road.
All right, so Juicy's got the Cajuns being 2-1. I got them 3-0 here. Buffalo comes to town. Buffalo's no slouch. Buffalo has a winning record. They posted the same record that UAB did the previous year with 7 wins for themselves as well. Predictors got the Cajuns winning it 30-21. I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped the game to Buffalo, but I'm going to go with a win. I'm going to go with 4-0. Cajuns take it. Who you got, Juicy?
I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna go with Buffalo as well. I think they bounce back. Good win at home against Buffalo. I do think it'll be a close game though, because like you said, Buffalo's not a slouch. But I think UL will take this one.
So far, Juicy's 3-1. I got the Cajuns at 4-0. We go to at Minnesota here. The predictor has it as a close loss, a little bit closer than I think it's gonna be. It's got them losing it 24-19 here. This would be a huge win for the Cajuns. They could pull it off against a Big Ten Power 5 opponent. The Sun Belt, they've definitely been rising the recent years. I don't think the Cajuns are going to rise enough to beat Minnesota. I got them dropping their first game against them here, uh, and putting them at 4-1. What you thinking, Juicy?
I'm gonna agree with the predictor. I mean, I think honestly, I mean, it could be close. I mean, Minnesota has kind of a down year, but I still don't think. I mean, UL's got the depth nor the quite a team to beat Minnesota. But I do remember though, UL upset an Iowa State team a couple years ago who had Brock Purdy as their quarterback.
You never know. Look, someone posted a graphic of the amount of NFL talent that was in that Sun Belt championship game. It's really interesting to go look at. It was a Sun Belt page, like a little fan page, and I was like, wow, that's probably the most. I think that was the most NFL talent I've seen two Sun Belt teams have together. So that's something we'll have to look at and be very interested about learning more about it. So, but I got the Cajuns being 4-1, and they're going to take on Texas State at home. Now, Texas State has never beaten the Cajuns since they got into the Sun Belt. Now, this year is a little bit different because with the transfer portal, Texas State's added a slew of people through the transfer portal. They have a new head coach, TJ Finley. It's going to be their starting quarterback. I think they got a running back. I'm trying to remember where he's from. But they have a lot of... What, Arkansas?
I think the running back from Arkansas.
Yeah, so Texas State has a lot of players on their team that could probably make a big difference in the Sun Belt here. But I still think the Cajuns beat Texas State. Until they can actually get it done, it's just a theory. But this game might become a lot closer than this 30-19 that the predictor's predicting. I still think they're still going to learn the offense. Like, look at the Anthony Jennings. I like to bring up Anthony Jennings to the Cajuns because, man, I was one person on Anthony Jennings. I was like, yes, we have an SEC quarterback. I thought it was going to be like a Louisiana Tech, Jeff Driscoll kind of thing. But didn't pan out that way. Because you don't really know if they're really SEC caliber players because sometimes the SEC do miss in recruiting with guys. So give me the Cajuns beating Texas State. Who you got, Juicy?
I do. I I do want to pick Texas State because of the talent that they have, but based off of I'm a person like until you beat them, you prove me wrong until you beat them. So I'm gonna go with Texas State right now, but when this game actually comes up, I could change my pick. I mean, this is just all preliminary right now. I mean, it could change. It could change by the time the season starts. But for now, I'm gonna go with UL beating Texas State until otherwise.
Yeah, I see on that one. Georgia State is next up on the schedule here. So far, I only have the Cajuns losing one game. Georgia State, I think they'll continue it, but I think this one's gonna be closer than the predictive things. But I think a field goal here because Georgia State, they had a down year compared to what they had in 21 last year. I think they'll get some of that back though. I got Cajuns winning. Who you got, Juicy?
I got the Cajuns as well.
So far, I have one loss for the Cajuns, and we've picked 7 games. You have the Cajuns dropping 2 of those games so far. So you have the Cajuns at a 5-2 record so far. I had them at a 6-1. So I had them going to a bowl game right now, or bowl eligibility. So at South Alabama is the next game here. So South Alabama, it's between them and Troy, I think, for the Sun Belt West crown. That looks like that's kind of the thing here. South Alabama almost returns everybody from last year. It's going to be really tough for the Cajuns to beat them. But these two teams always play each other close. The Cajuns might be able to pull it off here. But I'm going to go with South Alabama beating the Cajuns. Who you got, Juicy?
I'm a I'm gonna go with the surprise and pick UL to beat South Alabama in a close game.
Okay. So Juicy staying at 2 losses so far, man. Dang, so. Alright, so next game on the list is at Arkansas State here. Usually, the way this rivalry used to work, the home team would win. But under Napier, all that stuff kind of changed a little bit here. So, Basically, what's going on now is Arkansas State got blown out by the Cajuns last year at home. Um, Cajuns went up there the year before that and beat them. I think Butch Jones is going to try to like something here because I think this might be the year that he might actually get fired if he doesn't do that well. But I was thinking Arkansas State might be a sleeper team last year. That didn't come to fruition at all. Give me the Cajuns knocking off Arkansas State. I don't think the predictors got them beating 30-24. I think that's a wrong. So, what you got, Juicy?
I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna have UL over Arkansas State as well.
So we got 3 games left, and that takes us to Southern Miss. The Cajuns host them on national television, ESPNU. It's a midweek game, unfortunately, on a Thursday. So, what's gonna happen, right? I, I think this is gonna be like the new Arkansas State rivalry. I think these home schedule worked out really well. I think last year the Cajuns really couldn't get a running game going against Southern Miss, and that's what the problem is. Southern Miss has a really good running back. Frank Gore's son is on Southern. Yeah, he plays for him. So, but I don't think that's gonna be enough for Southern Miss. I got the Cajuns beating them at home. Who you got, Juicy? All right. I think the Cajuns' defensive line is going to be a lot better than a lot of people think. That's really what I'm basing a lot of these predictions on because I think a lot of good running teams are going to struggle with the Cajuns this year. Sonny Hazard, and they have a slew of other guys, so I think they'll be a lot better up front. So at Troy, this one, Cajun should have won this game last year. I think you were at the game, huh, Juicy?
I want to say I was.
And like the Cajuns controlled that game for three out of the 4 quarters, and they just couldn't finish it off. I think the Cajuns they might beat Troy this year. This is a really good like. I think they're gonna either win against South Alabama or Troy. I think one of those is gonna give somewhere. I think it's gonna be one of them. Granted, I could be wrong here. So I know I got them losing South Alabama in Minnesota here. I think the Cajuns can go 9-3 or 10-2. It's gonna be something that we're gonna need to talk about here. So, I got the Cajuns. I think they'll beat Troy. I think they're gonna be able to pull it off and pull an upset here. That's gonna be my upset pick for the year. What you got, Juicy?
I'm a, I'm feeling I'm feeling bold. I'm gonna go. I'm actually gonna agree with you. I think they'll really surprise everybody with one of these games.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
All right. Next we have on this list here is UOM. Cajun should have never lost this game last year. There is no reason why the Cajun football program should lose the game to UOM. They have probably the worst ran or least funded FBS program in the country. I mean, like they're way at the bottom of the list, and that should not even be thinking about that happening. I got my that, but I think some of that was head coaching, inexperience. But hopefully, Coach Desimo has learned from that. And I think that you don't pull a guy that's hot, right? If Chandler Fields is carving up a team like a Thanksgiving Day turkey, you let him in there and just carve him up. So I think that was part of the problem. You get someone that's cold that's coming off the bench, really tough for an athlete to do, and I think that was just like an error on his part as a coach. But anyway, Cajuns should win this game. This should be an easy win for the Cajuns. Who you got, Juicy?
I agree with you. I think UL is gonna win this game. There's no reason why they should lose, but sometimes these games are a lot closer and tired than what we ever wish they'd be. But
All right, so Juicy has the Cajuns losing to UAB, Minnesota, South Alabama, and Southern Miss. That's your 4 losses, right?
no, I haven't beaten. I haven't losing to Southern Miss. I haven't beaten South Alabama. No, I
Okay.
only got them losing 3.
All right, so you got them at 9-3, which is the same record I got them at. I got them losing to Minnesota. No, I'm 10-2. Never mind. I feel like one of these teams going to upset the Cajuns, though. I just feel that way. The UAB one, I don't know if that'd be an upset game because the ELO. Let's see, the Cajuns ELO is 59, so that'd be an upset technically. I got them going 10-2 this year, but 8-4, 8-4 should be the floor. That should be the minimum that the Cajuns get this year. If they go below 8-4, we really need to have a conversation about what's going on with the program here. Is it trending in the right direction? Like I said, year one to year two jumps has to be significant for the growth of your program. I mean, maybe it might take an extra year. I'm willing to give a coach a third year, but once we start getting to year 4 and year 5, and you're still producing the same results as you did in year 2, the Cajuns should be competing for Sun Belt championships. That's what the ultimate goal should be for the program.
Should be being ranked 12 starting next year because all you gotta do is get ranked number 12. You can be in the
Being
playoffs.
the highest G5 team is going to get you in the playoffs. So, I mean, it is possible more than ever for a G5 school to get in the playoffs.
Coastal got up to number 10, so I mean it's definitely possible for a Sun Belt
Yeah, it's
team.
possible that multiple G5 schools can get in there. It depends if the pollsters want them there. That's what I'm thinking. But we'll see here what goes along. We've been asked questions about the mobile ticket thing here, and I'm gonna give a little spill on it here real quick here. Um, I have some concerns about it, of course. I'm gonna take a little time in this episode to kind of cover it here. I got my concerns about it, like I said. But so there's my thing I'm worried about. You got all these people rushing to these gates here, okay? Granted, if you want to tailgate, drink, eat, have a good time, then come to the game to, you know, like everybody's trying to all access Wi-Fi network, okay, that's around this place or use their mobile data at the same time. It's a lot of pressure on the cell phone towers. They all got to pull this stuff up. Is the infrastructure in place to handle 20 some thousand people getting on the network at the same time? That's my reservation about it. I think paper tickets should be sold because personally, I'd rather paper tickets than doing mobile stuff because I don't like dealing with the Ticketmaster fees. Ticketmaster fees are sometimes, or as in a lot of cases, might be actually more expensive than the paper ticket itself. I think it's a bad move by the administration to do the mobile tickets.
Yeah,
I
sometimes
do.
it's cheaper just to buy them at the field.
Yeah, but they're not even doing that no more. You gotta buy them through Ticketmaster. It's a mobile ticket. And they go through Ticketmaster. So if you buy season tickets for $110 for general admission, you're gonna get charged $30 or $40, and it's gonna be a $150 ticket. You see, the fees are outrageous on Ticketmaster. It's been griped about for a lot of fans for a long period of time. So that's something like I don't know if Ticketmaster. I know it's going wrong around the country. I know there's time for progress and stuff here, but the Cajuns are going to start doing some demo work to their stadium um, at the end of this season here, because on Twitter that was
So
announced today. Coach Glasgow has also got a contract extension. That's something else that's going on.
Field's gonna be expanded. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, that was something we posted. You see,
I must have missed that.
it was on our Twitter page, but it was I didn't see an article put about it yet. We'll put it on Facebook whenever we get articles about it and stuff.
I'm sorry, listeners. I don't use Twitter. I don't use Twitter, so
Yeah, so let's see here. Let me see what we got here. Let me see. So here's what's going on with all that.
that's because they. That's because we're trying to get in that 12-team playoff next year. They got to look like
UL Board of Supervisors official approval for UL for demolition of the West Tower and seating structure at Cajun Field. So it's not going to happen at uh this year yet. Let they say, okay? So
It's going to happen at the end of the football season.
A lot of people, let's see. Bob Marlin got a new 3-year deal that we had posted about earlier. It doesn't take effect until April 2024, which is kind of coinciding with what he had earlier, like an extension. So we'll see what happens here with all that going on here. So it is what it is. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anything else you want to add, Juice, to this podcast episode?
No, I think that's it. We do have some. They do have some week zero college football games starting this weekend, and no
Yeah, like
top
college
25.
football is coming back this week, and it's going to be awesome.
I wouldn't talk about it because there's no top 25 matchups, but there is a somewhat big matchup. If any of y'all listeners are interested out there, there's Navy and Notre Dame that play. That's probably the biggest game this weekend. So
All right, so yeah, like that's probably we'll watch some here. We'll give some we'll come next week and watch and talk about like making predictions for the rest of the top
next week
25. Y'all know
we
we
got
like
top 25
y'all know
match.
we like doing this stuff here. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. It'll be fun once we get all this excited and installed here. We're excited for the season. I can't wait to be at Cajun Field or Tiger Stadium.
yeah.
Um,
Next week's episode is when we'll actually start doing our top 25 picks. So.
yeah, we'll do our top 25 picks in addition to we'll start off with LSU and the Cajuns, because I know that's what most of our people like to see. But if you'd like to stick around and give our rest of our opinion on the top 25 and see what happens here, got some Sunbelt teams in there this year. Tulane's even in there this year. So be nice to see here. You can listen to this podcast episode on Spotify, Facebook. We put links on Instagram and Twitter for people to follow it in there. Spotify, you can watch it anywhere. I'm debating whether to do a video segment of this stuff on Spotify, which you can do, or just do the audio, which I think the audio is easier to upload, so that's why you should do it anyway. But thank y'all for tuning into the Fishbowl Radio here. I know they got single game tailgate spots for $175 at Cajun Field, so it's not too bad if you got a couple of your buddies involved in there. So we'll see what happens. Hope y'all tune in to the Fishbowl Radio next week as we break down the top 25 here. So go like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and our TikTok page on. Even this episode is gonna be on YouTube. I keep forgetting about YouTube for some reason, but thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great and wonderful night
Good
and
night,
day.
people.
Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation.